In today's modern world, life has become more and more hectic. People wake up early, rush to school or work, and spend most of their day dealing with deadlines, tasks, and responsibilities. Because of this busy lifestyle, daily routines are often shaped by one important factor: time. One of the clearest examples of this change can be seen in the way people eat. Food is no longer just about sitting down and enjoying a long meal. Instead, it has become a matter of convenience and quick decision-making. Many people now rely on app-based delivery services that bring food directly to their door. With just a few taps on a phone, a meal can arrive in minutes, offering instant gratification without any effort. These delivery services have become extremely popular in urban life. They offer a wide variety of meals, from fast food to traditional dishes, all available at any time of the day. For many people, this feels like the most efficient way to manage eating in a busy schedule. It saves time, reduces effort, and removes the need for preparation or cleaning afterwards. However, not everyone depends on this modern system. There is still a strong group of people who prefer cooking at home. For them, preparing food with fresh ingredients is not only a habit but also a way to maintain a healthier nutrition balance. Cooking at home is often seen as a more reliable and controlled option, where people know exactly what goes into their meals. Even though homemade food requires more time and effort, it offers a different kind of satisfaction. It connects people with their daily routine in a more personal way, turning simple cooking into a meaningful activity rather than just a necessity. At the same time, choosing between ordering food and cooking at home is not always simple. It often depends on personal preference, energy level, and how much time someone has in a day. Sometimes, people look for the fastest solution, while other times they value quality and control over their meals. Both options represent two different sides of modern eating habits, one focused on speed and efficiency, the other on care and preparation. And in real life, these two choices often overlap, creating a balance that changes from day to day. As we move forward, we will follow a typical daily situation to see how these choices appear in real moments of life, starting from a busy morning where time becomes the most important factor in deciding what to eat next. The next morning begins just like many other weekdays in a modern city. The alarm rings earlier than expected, but the feeling of tiredness makes it difficult to get up immediately. Outside the window, the city is already awake, full of movement, noise, and constant commotion. People are rushing to start their day, and the atmosphere feels fast and slightly overwhelming, as if everything is happening at once. For many individuals living this kind of hectic lifestyle, mornings are the most challenging part of the day. There is barely enough time to think clearly, let alone prepare a proper meal. Some people skip breakfast entirely, while others look for the quickest possible solution to satisfy their hunger before leaving home. In this situation, food delivery services become a natural part of the morning routine. Instead of spending time in the kitchen, people often reach for their phones almost instinctively. The habit feels automatic, as if it has become a modern form of routine behavior. With a few taps, the screen lights up with endless options: coffee, sandwiches, rice dishes, pastries, and many more choices than a small home kitchen could offer. The process feels smooth and almost effortless. There is no need for meal planning, no need to check the refrigerator, and no need to worry about cooking tools or ingredients. Everything is already prepared by someone else, waiting to be delivered. This creates a strong sense of efficiency, especially when time is extremely limited. As the order is placed, there is often a short moment of relief. It feels like one small problem has already been solved. However, this convenience also comes with a sense of waiting. While getting ready for work or school, the mind occasionally checks the delivery status, wondering how far the driver is, or whether the order will arrive on time. This small period of waiting becomes a familiar part of modern eating habits. At the same time, there are people who choose a different approach. Instead of relying on delivery services, they prepare simple meals at home the night before. These meals are usually not complicated, but they are carefully arranged in containers, ready to be taken out in the morning. This habit requires a bit more discipline and time management, but it offers a different kind of comfort. For them, opening a lunchbox during a busy morning break feels more stable and predictable. There is no uncertainty about delivery delays or missing items. The food is already there, prepared with personal care and attention. This creates a sense of control that many people appreciate in their daily routine. However, even those who enjoy cooking at home sometimes find it difficult to maintain this habit consistently. When schedules become unpredictable or when exhaustion builds up after long days, the motivation to cook slowly decreases. In those moments, convenience becomes more attractive again, and food delivery once more enters the picture. This constant shift between cooking and ordering reflects the reality of modern life. People do not always stick to one method. Instead, their choices change depending on energy, time pressure, and emotional state. On some mornings, they feel organized and ready to prepare food. On others, even the smallest task feels like too much effort. As the morning continues, the city grows even busier. Traffic increases, workplaces become active, and the pace of life continues to accelerate. In the middle of all this movement, food becomes just one of many decisions people have to make quickly and efficiently. Whether it is a delivered meal arriving at the door or a carefully prepared box waiting in a bag, both choices exist within the same reality of urgency. And as the day moves forward into lunchtime, these small decisions about food will appear again in a different form, where social habits, work environments, and personal preferences start to influence what people choose to eat next. As the morning slowly turns into midday, the pace of life does not seem to slow down. In fact, for many people, lunchtime is one of the most important and sometimes most stressful moments of the day. After hours of work, study, and constant concentration, hunger starts to appear more clearly, and the need for a proper meal becomes unavoidable. In office buildings, schools, and university campuses, people begin to shift their attention from tasks to food. Some continue working until the last possible minute, while others start thinking ahead about what to eat. At this point, the decision between food delivery and home-cooked meals becomes more noticeable, influenced by environment, habits, and even social interaction. For a large number of people, food delivery remains the most convenient choice. It has become almost a shared culture in workplaces. Colleagues sit together, scroll through their phones, and quickly agree on what to order. The process feels natural, almost automatic, as if ordering food is simply part of the lunch routine. There is a wide variety of options available. Some choose rice dishes with meat and vegetables, while others prefer noodles, salads, or quick fast food. The diversity of choices creates a sense of freedom, allowing everyone to satisfy their personal taste without compromise. This flexibility is one of the main reasons why delivery services continue to grow in popularity. However, even with this convenience, the experience is not always perfect. Sometimes orders arrive later than expected, especially during peak hours when demand is high. People may find themselves waiting longer than planned, checking their phones repeatedly, or wondering if the food is still on its way. In some cases, the food arrives slightly cold or not exactly as expected, which can affect the overall satisfaction of the meal. Despite these small issues, many people still prefer delivery because it fits well into their busy schedules. There is no need to leave the workplace, no need to carry food from home, and no need to prepare anything in advance. Everything is handled externally, allowing them to focus entirely on their work or study. On the other hand, there is another group of people who choose a more traditional and structured approach. They bring food from home, carefully prepared either the night before or early in the morning. These home-cooked meals are usually simple but thoughtfully arranged, often placed in containers that are easy to carry and reheat if necessary. For these individuals, lunchtime feels more stable and predictable. They do not need to depend on delivery times or external services. When the clock reaches noon, they simply open their bags and enjoy a meal that has already been prepared with care. This small moment often brings a sense of comfort, especially during a busy or stressful day. In addition, home-cooked meals are often associated with better control over ingredients and nutrition. People can choose what goes into their food, adjust portion sizes, and avoid excessive oil or seasoning. This awareness of health has become increasingly important in modern society, where fast food and processed meals are widely available. Still, maintaining this habit is not always easy. It requires planning, effort, and consistency. Not everyone has the energy to prepare meals every day, especially after long hours of work or study. As a result, even those who prefer home food sometimes switch back to delivery when they feel tired or overwhelmed. Lunchtime also has a strong social element. In shared spaces like offices, people often talk about food while eating, compare what they ordered, or even try each other's meals. Food delivery adds a dynamic and flexible aspect to these interactions, since everyone can choose something different while still eating together. Meanwhile, those with home-cooked meals often eat in a quieter and more personal way. They may sit alone or with a small group, focusing more on the meal itself rather than the process of choosing it. This difference creates two distinct lunchtime experiences, both shaped by personal preference and daily circumstances. As the meal comes to an end, people gradually return to their responsibilities. Some feel energized after a satisfying delivery meal, while others feel calm and balanced after a homemade lunch. The afternoon is still ahead, bringing more tasks, more concentration, and more decisions. And yet, even after lunch is over, the question of what to eat does not disappear completely. It slowly shifts into the background of the day, waiting to reappear again when the evening arrives, when people once more have to decide between convenience and effort, between ordering food again or returning to the kitchen. As the afternoon slowly unfolds, life begins to feel slightly more stable compared to the busy morning. Tasks continue, meetings go on, and people gradually adapt to the rhythm of the day. After lunch, there is often a short moment where everything feels a bit calmer, as if the body and mind are adjusting after the meal. However, even during this quieter period, thoughts about food do not completely disappear. In fact, many people start to reflect, sometimes unconsciously, on what they have eaten and how it affects their energy, mood, and overall productivity. This is where the difference between food delivery and cooking at home becomes more noticeable over time. For those who rely heavily on delivery services, there is often a growing awareness of financial cost. At first, ordering food feels harmless and convenient. A few small orders per day do not seem like a big issue. But gradually, when these expenses are added together over weeks and months, the total becomes surprisingly significant. This realization can create a sense of reconsideration, especially for people trying to manage their monthly budget more carefully. Despite this, the emotional comfort of food delivery is difficult to ignore. After a tiring morning, the idea of simply opening an app and receiving a meal without effort still feels attractive. It removes the need for decision fatigue and physical preparation. In moments of stress or exhaustion, convenience often becomes more important than long-term planning. On the other hand, people who regularly cook at home tend to experience a different kind of reflection. For them, the focus is often on health benefits and control over daily nutrition. They may notice that homemade meals feel lighter, more balanced, and more consistent with their personal health goals. This sense of control creates a quiet satisfaction, especially when they feel physically better throughout the day. Still, cooking at home also comes with its own challenges. It requires time not only for cooking but also for shopping, cleaning, and planning meals in advance. After long working hours, this responsibility can feel tiring. As a result, even people who value home-cooked food sometimes find themselves switching back to delivery when life becomes too busy. Over time, both habits start to influence lifestyle in different ways. Food delivery encourages speed, spontaneity, and flexibility. It fits well into unpredictable schedules and allows people to respond quickly to hunger without preparation. Meanwhile, cooking at home promotes structure, discipline, and long-term health awareness. It requires planning, but it also creates a stronger connection between food and daily routine. Interestingly, many people do not strictly choose one side. Instead, they develop a hybrid habit, combining both depending on the situation. On busy workdays, they may rely on delivery. On quieter days or weekends, they may cook at home. This balance becomes a natural adaptation to modern life, where flexibility is often more realistic than strict routines. Social influence also plays an important role during this afternoon period. In workplaces or study environments, conversations about food are still common. People share opinions about restaurants, recommend delivery apps, or talk about simple recipes they tried at home. These discussions often shape future decisions, even without direct intention. In some cases, seeing colleagues order food regularly can make delivery feel like the normal choice. In other situations, hearing someone talk about cooking a healthy meal at home can inspire others to try it as well. These small interactions slowly shape habits over time, without people even realizing it. As the afternoon continues, energy levels begin to change again. Some people feel refreshed after lunch and become more productive, while others experience a slight drop in concentration. During these moments, food-related decisions still linger in the background, especially thoughts about what to eat later in the evening. Because of this, the idea of dinner starts to quietly enter people's minds. Unlike lunch, which is often influenced by work environment and time pressure, dinner feels more personal and flexible. It is the part of the day where people have more freedom to decide, but also face the same question once again, whether to cook or to order. And as the day gradually moves toward evening, this decision becomes more present, setting the stage for another shift in routine, where comfort, fatigue, and personal preference begin to play an even bigger role in shaping what comes next. As the afternoon slowly fades into evening, the atmosphere of the day begins to change once again. The intensity of work and study gradually decreases, and people start to feel a different kind of energy, softer, more relaxed, and slightly more personal. Streets become more crowded in a different way, not with urgency, but with a sense of people returning to their own spaces after a long day. At this time, the question of dinner starts to become more noticeable. Unlike breakfast or lunch, evening meals feel less rushed but more emotionally influenced. After a full day of decisions, pressure, and movement, many people find themselves too tired to think deeply about cooking. The idea of preparing food from scratch can feel like an extra task added to an already long day. For this reason, food delivery once again becomes a strong option. People sit on their sofas, still in work clothes or casual homeware, and open familiar apps on their phones. The process feels almost comforting because it requires very little effort. After a few taps, dinner is already on its way, and the responsibility of cooking disappears for the moment. In this evening context, delivery food often feels different compared to lunchtime. It is less about efficiency and more about comfort. People tend to choose meals that feel familiar and satisfying, such as warm rice dishes, noodles, or simple comfort food that helps them relax after a stressful day. The act of ordering becomes part of a winding down routine, almost like a small reward after completing daily responsibilities. However, there are also evenings when people choose a different path. Instead of relying on delivery again, they return to their kitchen, even if only for a simple meal. This decision is often influenced by how the day has gone. On days when they feel less tired, cooking can feel therapeutic, almost like a way to reset the mind. Preparing ingredients, cutting vegetables, or heating a simple dish creates a slower rhythm that contrasts with the fast pace of the day. In these moments, cooking at home is not just about food. It becomes a form of mental relaxation. The sounds from the kitchen, the smell of cooking, and the small actions involved in preparing a meal create a sense of presence. People are no longer thinking about deadlines or tasks, instead, they are focused on something immediate and tangible. This shift, even if temporary, can feel refreshing. Still, not every evening allows for this experience. There are days when exhaustion is too strong, and even the idea of standing in the kitchen feels tiring. In such cases, convenience naturally wins again. The balance between cooking and ordering is not fixed, it constantly changes depending on energy levels, mood, and unexpected events during the day. Social factors also continue to play a role in evening habits. Families, roommates, or friends living together often influence each other's decisions. Sometimes, a simple suggestion like "let's order something" can quickly shape the entire meal plan. Other times, someone might encourage cooking together, turning dinner into a shared activity rather than an individual choice. These shared moments create a different experience compared to eating alone. Whether it is ordering food and waiting together, or cooking in the kitchen as a group, the evening meal often becomes more than just eating, it becomes a small social event that closes the day. As dinner approaches, the city outside also begins to slow down. Shops start to close, traffic becomes lighter, and a calmer atmosphere spreads across neighborhoods. Inside homes, people settle into their final routines of the day. Some wait for delivery drivers to arrive at the door, while others finish simple home-cooked meals on the table. Both choices bring a similar outcome, a moment of rest and satisfaction after a long day. Yet the way each person reaches that moment is different, shaped by habit, energy, and personal preference. This quiet contrast between delivery and home cooking continues to define modern eating patterns in everyday life. And as the night slowly takes over, dinner does not feel like the end of the story, but rather a transition into another stage of daily routine where habits, comfort, and personal choices continue to evolve, preparing for the final reflections of the day that are still to come. As the night becomes deeper, the pace of the day finally slows down completely. The noise from the city outside fades into a distant background, and everything starts to feel quieter and more still. Inside homes, the atmosphere changes into something more personal, where people begin to disconnect from the demands of the day and shift their focus inward. After dinner is finished, whether it comes from a delivery service or a home-cooked meal, there is usually a moment of rest. This moment feels different for each person, but it often carries a shared sense of relief. The day's responsibilities are no longer urgent, and the pressure of making decisions is temporarily reduced. In this calm space, people naturally begin to reflect on how their day has unfolded. For some, the experience of ordering food feels satisfying because it saved time and reduced effort. The convenience of food delivery allowed them to focus on work, study, or simply rest without worrying about cooking. It fits well into a lifestyle where speed and efficiency are highly valued. In a fast-moving world, this kind of solution feels practical and necessary rather than optional. For others, cooking at home brings a different kind of satisfaction. Even if it requires more energy, it often creates a sense of control and stability. The process of preparing a meal, no matter how simple, gives a feeling of structure to the day. It also strengthens the connection between daily habits and personal well-being, especially when people feel that they are taking better care of their health and routine. Over time, many people begin to realize that neither option is completely better than the other. Instead, each one serves a different purpose depending on the situation. On busy days, food delivery becomes a helpful support system that reduces stress. On calmer days, cooking at home becomes a meaningful activity that brings balance and mindfulness. This flexible approach slowly becomes a natural part of modern life. In fact, what defines today's eating habits is not a fixed choice, but a constant adjustment. People adapt their decisions based on changing schedules, energy levels, and emotional states. Some days are planned carefully, while others are shaped by unexpected changes. This fluidity reflects the reality of contemporary living, where stability is often replaced by adaptability. Even technology plays a continuous role in this pattern. Food delivery apps, recommendation systems, and digital payment methods make it easier than ever to choose convenience. At the same time, online content about healthy cooking, quick recipes, and meal preparation also encourages people to return to home cooking. These two influences exist side by side, constantly shaping how people think about food. As people prepare for sleep, these thoughts slowly become less active, but they do not disappear completely. Small reflections about spending, health, or time management may still appear in the background of the mind. Sometimes, a person may think about ordering differently the next time, or about trying to cook more often in the coming days. These thoughts are not strict decisions, but rather soft intentions that may or may not be followed. This ongoing balance between convenience and effort, between delivery and home cooking, becomes part of a larger pattern in modern life. It is not limited to food alone, but reflects how people manage time, energy, and personal priorities in general. Every choice made throughout the day is influenced by similar factors, and food simply becomes one of the clearest examples of this daily negotiation. As the night continues to settle, the city remains quiet, but life itself is still moving in subtle ways. Plans for the next day begin to form slowly, even if not fully consciously. Tomorrow may bring another busy morning, another lunch decision, and another evening choice between cooking and ordering. And in this continuous cycle of daily routines, food remains a small but constant part of life, always returning, always changing, and always influenced by the rhythm of modern living that never truly stops.